on information gathering techniques. So we all know what actually information gathering is. It is basically one of the important step where a hacker or a penetration tester tries to get the information about the target. They try to use different kinds of sources and tools to get more information about the targeted victim or system. Now, before we start with the number of tools, how they are gathering the information from different sources and different tools, let's have a look on the multiple phases of hacking. Now, these are basically the process or the steps of hacking which actually help us as a penetration tester to understand how the hackers are taking the control and the command of the system and how they are getting the information about the victim and trying to exploit that. Now, there are multiple steps in the hacking phase. Number one is reconnaissance. Number two, scanning and enumeration. Then we have gaining access, maintaining access, and then last, clearing tracks. So these are major 5 phases of hacking, or we can say the 5 phases of testing, which is being used by the penetration tester to test a particular target. Now, when we talk about reconnaissance, this is basically the first step where hacker tries to collect more and more information about the target. It is also known as the preparatory phase, or we can also term it as information gathering phase, where the hacker tries to get maximum information about the target from various different sources. Then we have the second phase known as scanning and enumeration. In this particular phase, the attacker or penetration tester begins to actively probe a target machine or maybe network for vulnerabilities which can be exploited by him. There are multiple tools which are being used for doing this particular process. There is Nessus. I think you have seen that particular tool yesterday. Then we have Nexpose and also Nmap. Then we have gaining access, the third step. This is a case where an attacker breaks into the system or network or maybe web applications, and then they try to gain the access to this particular target machine. Now, in this particular phase, they are trying to locate the vulnerability and then try to attempt to exploit that kind of vulnerability from the target machine or the victim machine. Here again, we have a number of tools which can be used. One of the tool which is known as Metasploit, which is being used for gaining the access. Then we have the next, maintaining access. Now, once the hacker or the penetration tester has gained the access, now he tries to maintain that access till he completes his task. So for that reason, he tries to install some backdoors like Trojans, rootkits, or any other malicious file in order to enter to that particular machine or system whenever he wants to access to that particular target machine. So the major objective here in this particular phase is to get the access of the target until he finishes that task, whatever he has planned to accomplish in the victim machine. Again, for this, we have an automated tool, Metasploit, which actually helps us to do that. Then we have the last, clearing tracks. Now, this is again very important phase because whatever changes has been done by the attacker or the penetration tester now needs to be cleared. Now here, no hacker wants to be traced at a later stage. So in this case, what he does, he tries to modify, corrupt, or delete the value of logs, whatever he has tried to change. He will also uninstall or delete whatever applications or folders he have created while gaining and maintaining the access to the victim machine. He will try to clear the cache and the cookies. He will also try to tamper all the log files and closing all the open ports so that he should not be caught at a later stage. So these are the major steps of actually being performed by the hacker or a penetration tester to get the complete control to that particular machine. Now, this is a session on the first two parts, that is your information gathering techniques. Now, let's move to that information gathering, and we will see through demonstration as well that how information is being gathered by the hacker about the target, and then how he will take the usage of those information. Now, as we told, reconnaissance is also known as information gathering. Now, what is information gathering? Information gathering, as I told, is a process of collecting as much information as possible from different sources about any individual, company, organization, server, IP address, or a group of persons. So here the hacker tries to collect the maximum data on the security posture of the organization or to a particular target. It can be a website, can be a infrastructure, the network, or anything like that. And it tries to reduces the focus area so that he should be able to reach to that particular location very easily. So he tries to find out the IP addresses, he tries to find out the vulnerabilities within that particular system. He tries to get a lot of information about that system, maybe from the target itself or maybe from the different open sources. So here, if I talk about information gathering, even we are also providing our information publicly to multiple places. If I talk about the social networking websites, your Google, that Gmail, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram and all, from there also these hackers are trying to get information and then try to use it for their personal usage. So now when we are saying information gathering is basically the collecting the information, then how these information can be collected? So it is basically being divided into two parts. Reconnaissance is basically being done in two ways. One is your active reconnaissance. Second is passive reconnaissance. When we say active reconnaissance, this is basically interacting directly with the target to gather information about the target itself. So if I want to get an information about a particular, let's suppose, website, I will be accessing that website. I will be finding out the information about that website from the website itself. Now for this, we have a particular tool known as Nmap. This is basically a network discovery tool and security auditing tool. This helps us to gather the information from the target itself. Other than that, we also have an eyewitness tool. This is basically been used to take the screenshots of the websites, provide the server header information. It also tries to give sometimes the credentials, default credentials, if it is having that. So active is basically a kind of information gathering from the target itself. Whereas when we talk about passive reconnaissance, here we are trying to collect the information about the target from different sources. So we are not directly accessing the target, but we are trying to collect the information from social media, from different public websites and all. So for this, we have again multiple tools which help us to do that. One of the Ocean social media mapping tool is also used for that. That is basically Social Mapper. Then we have, as I told, we have LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus, Instagram, and a lot of websites are there which help us to identify or gather the information about the target itself from various different sources. There is one more tool known as The Harvester. Maybe some of you have heard about it. It is again a tool for gathering subdomain names, email addresses, open ports and services, and employee names of that particular organization. So a lot of information we are able to get it from these public sources. So for information gathering step to perform, there are few details which actually a hacker tries to look for. What are that information? So they are going to look for the network details. They will find out domain information, number of ports and services which are being running on that particular target, enumeration about the server, web server version, misconfiguration on that particular target. It also tries to identify the permissions, user information, group information, what all weak file permission is being given, background running processes, and lot many other things. So if the hacker is trying to get this much of information, and he can scan that particular the target, and then tries to find it out, lot of vulnerabilities in that. And once he's able to get the vulnerabilities, the weaknesses which is present in that particular target, he can very easily gain the access using certain automated tools. So now what all techniques are being used by the hacker or the penetration tester? It is mainly divided into 4 to 5 parts. One is Google docking. Second is from the domain names. Then from the social networks and social engineering kind of techniques. And then we have certain search engines. So information gathering can be performed using active and passive reconnaissance from these various number of techniques. Now, when we are talking about identifying the information, sometimes, as I told, the user herself or himself is actually posting the information about his own personal information he's posting. Maybe he's posting his organization information, his important or some information which he should not post, but still he is posting, and that is what the advantage is being taken by the hacker. Now, what users actually do, users maintain their profile, and they also update their status very regularly, and that is what the hackers are actually taking advantage of. So whenever people or users are maintaining their profile, so when I say maintaining their profile, what does it mean? It means that they're actually changing the photo or putting the photo of the target. Then they are putting their contact numbers, email addresses, date of birth, location, work details, and lot many other things. So this is the information which is actually being posted by the user itself. And that is very crucial information which can be misused by the hacker. And what attacker gets from that? Personal information about the target, including their personal information, photo, and all. And they, again, if they are getting all these information, they can do very easily those social engineering kind of activities. So when we say social engineering kind of activities, I think we all aware of that we have phishing, wishing, whaling, smishing, and lot many other techniques which hackers are actually using, which comes under your social engineering techniques. And through that, they are actually gathering more and more information about it. Then people are updating their status as well. So they are actually changing their personal information. If they are changing their location, their home address, if they are changing their organization, actually they are putting it on these various websites. So they are actually sharing their location as well, their family and friends information, what activities and interests they are holding, technology related information, upcoming events information, and not many other things. And if they're sharing that, attacker again will get the benefit out of it. They'll be able to know the platform, the technology related information. So you are working in Java, you can just post it there that I have switched over to a new location or to a new organization and working in this particular platform or using this particular language. Then definitely that kind of information will be very fruitful for the attacker. Target location you can share, and that is what attackers are getting it. List of employees, friends, family, nature of business, and these are some of the examples which are actually being posted by the user itself, and then it is actually being used by the attacker. Now, we are clear with what actually information gathering is, what is information gathering process, gathering the information from different sources, and that is what is being taken by the attacker, and they are using it. Now, how they are getting these informations? From social media, from your social networking websites, they are getting it. That is one thing. Second thing, they're also getting it from different tools, from different websites and all. So our scope of this particular session will be to learn what all those websites are, what all those techniques are which is being used by the attacker to gather more and more information about the target. So the first thing which we'll be talking about is the Google Docs. Now, maybe a few of you aware of what actually Google Doc is. So this is one of the favorite technique of the attackers, because here attackers are trying to gather information through Google itself. So this is basically known as Google Docking or advanced searching. So Google Docking is basically returning the information from the internet, which is actually difficult to locate through simple search queries. So this includes the information which is basically not intended for the public to simply view through simple passing on a search query through Google, but it will also allow you a lot of other information to be extracted from the internet, which is not being adequately protected. So if an information is not properly protected, then the attackers may use these Google Docking advanced queries or advanced operators, and then can get that information which he is not authorized to see. So Google Docking is basically a practice of using Google to find out the vulnerable applications and maybe the servers by using native Google search engine capabilities. Now, what all capabilities Google Doc provides us? So it is actually been providing us a set of advanced operators. With the help of those advanced operators, we are actually trying to extract the information from the internet. Now, what kind of data you can find it out using Google Docs? If it is not adequately protected, you can even identify the admin login pages. You can identify or extract username and passwords. You can identify the vulnerable entities, sensitive documents, government military data, list of emails related to a particular organization, bank account details, and lot many other things. So if the pages or the data is not protected properly in the target, then very easily we can identify that using Google Docking. And that is what the attackers are also trying to get that. Now, when I say Google Docking, I said that there are few advanced operators which we are using it. What are those advanced operators? There are a lengthy list of, a very long list of these operators. So it's again very difficult to discuss all those operators, but we're trying to show you the demonstration and discuss few of the operators, which will give you an idea how dangerous this Google Docking is. So now these are few of the operators. One is in title, in URL, in text, and site. When I say in title is an advanced operator which is being used in Google Docking, which actually allows a hacker to search for those pages with a specific text in their HTML title. So if I put it in that Google search query in title colon, and in double quotes, I write it down login page. So it will search it in the web and will extract all those pages which has this specific text, that is login page, mentioned in their HTML title. Then we have in URL. In URL allows the attacker to search for those pages which are based on the text contained in the URL. So it searches all the URL available on the web and then finds out the text which we are specifying within URL is present in that URL or not. If it is present, it will extract that URL to us as a result. So if I put it as in URL colon login.php, it will able to extract all those pages which has login.php as a part in the URL of a particular website. Then we have in text. This is an operator which searches the entire content of a particular multiple websites and try to find it out all those various website URLs which has this text as a part of that website. Wherever it identifies, it will give me the list of all those URLs. Then we have cite. Cite is basically limiting the scope of a query to a particular website. If I need to find it out only about cdag.in, I can simply put it as cite:cdag.in. So it will only search the content from cdag.in. Now you can also have a combination of these operators as well. So it's not necessary that you can only use one. You can have a multiple combination of the queries, and that is what hackers are doing, and then trying to get their desired result. Other than that, we have file type, we have extension, we have certain wildcard characters also to be used. Now, if you can see it here, we have in URL already discussed, site, then we have file type. That is only for mentioning a particular file type. I only want to search for PDF files. I only want to search for PPTs, right? I can simply put it as file type : and then the extension of that particular file. All in URL. If you want a particular text to be searched in the complete in the URL, then you can use all in URL. You can also have multiple wildcard characters, as I told, that asterisk, that you slash, and lot many other ways. Or and logical operators can be used. So there are multiple operators which are being used while accessing the content from the net, which is not adequately protected. Now, if I show you one of the example here, now we are opening Google and simply we are using a particular operator as in URL, and then I am putting it as product.php ? ID. So I want that this product.php ? ID, the complete text, should be the part of the URL. If it is find that out, then it will provide me the result. Now, if you see here, I have received 221,000 results where the URL will definitely hold this product.php ? ID. So here also we are seeing product.php ? ID. Again, the second link, again we are having product.php ? ID. Again, products.php ? ID. So wherever it is going to find it out, this part as in the URL, it will try to give me that result. So let's move to the demonstration of that, and let's see that what all we can do it with Google Docking, a little bit demonstration of the same, which will give you an idea how hackers are gathering the information about the vulnerable websites, vulnerable applications, and all. So let me stop sharing my screen, and I have my colleague here with me, Mr. Divyansh Pandey. He is going to show you the demonstration of Google Docs. So Divyansh, you please share your screen fastly and explain 4 to 5 examples of Google Docking.
Good morning, everyone. So today I will demonstrate how Google Docs work. So as ma'am told us about Google Docs that we can find any of the information. So we will be using the 4 basic types of Google Doc queries such as in URL, in text, in site, and your in title. So first is the in URL query. In this, we will be writing any of the strings such as login.php and we'll press enter. So in URL : login.php will try to find out a string in a particular URL which will contain the login.php in it. So if you want to find a particular website that you can think there could be a vulnerable point or a hacker would think, they will try to use this type of query. So let me find one of the particular search result. So this is the page of all-time cargo, and they have this login.php inside this particular URL. So that means the login.php, we are able to find it by using the Google Docs query of in URL colon login.php. So any of the pages that you want to find can be found out by in URL login dot in URL colon and the particular string that you want to find in a particular website. So let's move on to the next one, that is in text colon any of the strings. We can write CDAC. So in text colon CDAC is basically your query that will search for a particular text or in a particular website. So in text we have written with a colon and a string of CDAC. So we want a particular data related to CDAC written in that particular website. So the particular area that this particular query will search would be the third area, where you basically get the summary of the website. And here our particular CDAC will be written in bold. So this is how in-text format will work in the in-text query. It will try to find out the CDAC name or a particular string that is written CDAC, and it will highlight or bold it out. And all of the results in the particular Google section will be of in-text, and that is equal to your CDAC. So let's move to the next one, that is the in-title. So in-title is basically another basic query where you can write any of the strings. I've written admin, and I have to see if the in-title page of admin can be located with the following query. So let's take one of the particular website, and all of the results will be of the admin panel only. And we are able to see the particular admin login of this particular website. So there are many particular websites that will have the admin login page, and the title that I'm hovering my mouse over will have the particular admin written on it. So this is the admin login page of this website. So this is how the particular in-title query would work. And the particular hacker might be able to get the login or admin login page of that particular website. So these are the basic queries. Let's move to the site one. And site is basically your way of searching a particular website. So if I write site colon CDAC, I might be able to find out all of the CDAC based websites or related websites that are available on the internet, or that too in the Google search area. So we have CDAC, our main website. We have Wikipedia of CDAC. We have LinkedIn CDAC, Times of India CDAC, this thing, recruitment portal of CDAC, and etc. So all of the information related to CDAC could be found out using this site query, along with the particular string that you want to find in this particular Google search area. So if you combine these four basic queries, you might be able to find a lot of information that is available on the internet and not publicly available if you write the simple sentences. There are other queries also. Let me try to find one. So this is one of the advanced type of queries that you can generate through Google Docs. So this query contains the extension of SQL, then the in-text containing username and password. So as you can see, you can write the query in your own way. I have written every query with a space. That means I want an extension that is related to .sql, that is in any of the website. I want a particular .sql file which contains like a file containing the extension .sql. I want an in-text. I want the data inside of it with the username and password. So I've written in-text colon username, then space in-text colon username. Password. So this particular line will try to find out it will try to run the query and will try to find out websites which have particular password and username inside a .sql file. So let's try to open one of the files. So this is a particular .sql file of messenger_client_db.sql. That's a dumb file. Maybe even the information might be of old, but still we are able to get it. We know the IP of this particular server. we know the subversion and the PHP version. We know the database name is free this, and they basically have used the create database of free 576554. They have used it, but we have to find out the username. Let's try to find out. Control F will type username. So we know that they have created a table that contains username and member ID. We get to another area, that is the insert into team member. So let's check through the columns that would be able to find the username. So this is the username, this is the password. So the data would also be like this. So first is the ID, member ID, second is the username, and third will be the password. So we were able to find the password from here of this particular website. So this is just a old data. It might not work, but still we were able to find it. Let's move to another more basic type of code that could be used inside Google Docs, that contains another query of InTitle. So InTitle, I showed you that we were able to find the admin login pages, but in this we would be able to find CCTV cameras that have been not authorized and are easily available on the internet that you can basically see. So let me open one of or two of the particular results, and we will try to see what type of information we are able to find out through them. So right now, one of the links that I just opened up contains the Webcam XP5. So I wrote Webcam XP5, and I was able to find out the Webcam XP5 title pages, as you can see. And we were able to find out pages that had webcams available to the public. So here's a webcam that contains today's date of 2nd February 2021 and the morning time of 9:39 a.m. And you are able to see that this is a webcam which we are able to see a live footage of a particular webcam. Let's check another also. Let's see if we are able to find another webcams that are still open. So Webcam XP5 are like basically, they're not vulnerable, but they have not authenticated their particular CCTV cameras. So a person, if he writes such queries or just writes the entitled Webcam XP5, he might be able to see all of the webcams that are still open without the authorization. Like you don't need to write your username password, you don't need to log in and straight away you are able to see it. So this is how you are able to search the internet for the information through Google Docs. I think there is one more. Let me just check it out. Another webcam that we can basically find out through this. So this is Intel Webcam XP5 in your ATT. We are searching for live footage. Let's check one of them. So these type of webcams are easily available. So we are able to see today's date only. And this is another CCTV that is available on the internet. So these are the queries from basic to little bit advanced, through which we are able to find out or dig out information from the internet. Ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. So if anyone wants to have a look on multiple operators which is being provided to us, or we can use it using Google Docs, that we can very easily do it by searching it on exploitdb.com. So we have Google hacking database. Even you can also just type Google hacking database and you'll be able to get a lot of operators, list of operators and all. So this is the link where the URL from where you can actually get the list of all the operators which is being used by Google Docs and the hackers and the penetration testers are using and trying to check it out. Then after this, we have one another tool, which is basically known as the built with. Now, what is this built with? Built with is basically being said as web technology information profiler tool. Now, this is basically a website as well as extension, browser extension, which helps the developers, researchers, and designers to identify what all technologies is being used by that particular website. So it's very good, with very good objective. It was being created to help the developers, researchers, and designers, so that they should identify that what all other organizations are using, with what technologies they are developing their websites, and then they can also learn that and they can develop their own organization's website. But attackers are again using this particular built with tool for identifying and gathering the information about a particular target. So with the help of built with, they are trying to identify what that particular target is using, what frameworks they are using, what language they are using, and lot many other things. So if you want to just check it out, you can just go to this www.builtwith.com. Now, when we open this particular website, here you can see this is the home page of Built With. Here it is asking you to enter a website address, a technology name, or a keyword. Now, when we are providing here cdag.in, it is going to look up for this particular domain and will try to identify the information about this particular target. So when we are clicking on this lookup, it will provide us the details divided into multiple tabs. So the first tab talks about technology profile. The second is detailed technology profile, metadata profile, relationship profile, redirect profile. So when we click on this technology profile, it provides me the details about the technology which is being used by this target, along with the Google Analytics, usage statistics, the site tag, and also the frameworks which is being used by this particular target, ASP.NET, then libraries and functions related to JavaScript which is being used by this particular domain or target. So it gives you an idea. There are a lot many other things which it provides. We'll be showing you the demonstration of the same. And when we are going to move to the second tab, that is detailed technology profile, it will go to that particular website or that particular target, and then tries internal links from that particular URL or from that particular target. It also provides you the date from when it has first detected and when it is last detected. So it will give you a list of all those various frameworks. Now see here, there are a number of widgets which is being used, and it has the list of frameworks also which is being used along with its detailed information. So when it was first detected, when it was last detected, related to your JavaScript queries, JavaScript libraries and functions. Then it also talks about, sometimes it also provides you the version as well, which version of this language is being used. Now, if you see it here, it is providing us ASP.NET 4.0, PHP language is being used. Then these are the JavaScript libraries and functions, when it has been first detected, when it has been last detected, along with the subdomains as well. So it is also showing me a list of all those various URLs which are being associated with this cdag.in. So this is the main domain, and these are the subdomains which are actually being given or being associated with this particular target. And also it is providing you the details of SSL certificates, then email hosting providers, the web servers which are being used by this particular target, when it was first detected, when it was last detected. You can even click, these are the links, you can click on these particular text which is being written here, and then you can go through some more details to this particular target. So this is basically detailed technology profile, where you can go to a particular option and there itself you can get a lot of other information about it. So if you want to get the information about this particular subdomain, even you can go and get that particular information as well. Then we have metadata profile. This metadata profile, for this you require to log in. So if you can log in, then you'll be getting the metadata profile about this target. Then we have relationship profile. So here it will tell you the tag history divided into different IDs. And whenever you are going to hover your mouse pointer into a particular ID, it will tell you what all CDAC websites are connected to this ID. When you mouse over your pointer here, then it will actually select those various CDAC subdomains which are actually being related to this particular ID. So that also relationship profile the attacker can get, that what all websites are actually connected with this domain with which ID. So these are the connected website that also will be getting it through built with. And if you can just, these are the links, you can click on these links and you can further move to the detailed information about this particular subdomain. So let's first see this, how this built with works, and then we'll be moving further. So again, I request Divyansh to kindly share his screen and show how built with works.
So let me show you the demonstration of built with. So first we'll try to find out, go to straight away builtwith.com. So I'll just write built with, and the first link that I will get, I'll just right click and open it in a new tab. So this is the website of built with. Either you can log in or sign up for free. So here, find out what websites are built with. So we'll write a website name such as CDAC and just try to get whatever information we have. So this is a website or the domain that we wrote, which has the CDAC name.in of the TLD, top level domain. And we have got multiple columns about our website of technology profile, detailed technology profile, metadata profile, your relationship, and the redirect profile. So right now the technology profile will give us the summary about our website, and even the developers and the hackers use this particular website to just gain some of the insights about the particular website. So analytics and tracking summary is been given with the telling us that this website uses Google Analytics along with the Analytics Classic and Universal Analytics along with this global site tag. So this is used to basically increase the particular rankings of the particular websites. The next is widgets, which contains the Google Tag Manager that is necessary for these tags, and the COVID-19 block. Next with the frameworks is .NET, because our website is created in .NET. And then we've got the mobile section, which contains the viewport meta iPhone/mobile compatible. Then we have got the respond page for the JavaScript libraries and functions. So the third party with all the JS files and all. We got the verified link along with the careers. We got the name server, EasyDNS, email hosting providers with the SPFs, SSL certificates, GeoTrust, SSL, GGCert, and Rapid SSL. Then we've got the web servers with the IIS, operating system and servers, IPv6 and enabled, webmaster registration, Google Webmaster. But in this, one can just look at, this is just the summary of CDAC.in. That means altogether, we are only getting the information about CDAC.in only. But when we will click on detailed technology profile, you will get again the CDAC.in summary, but with like straight away information of the particular module that we are using, along with the first detected, last detected. We have already seen these all information in the technology profile of CDAC.in domain. We already know about analytics, classic analytics, Google site tag, widgets, COVID-19. We've got Google tag, Adobe Connect, WebEx panel, workplace by Facebook, reCAPTCHA, Google custom search frameworks, .NET 4.0 and PHP. Then we've got the content delivery network of GStatic and Microsoft Ajax, mobile functionality, port meta and iPhone mobile compatible. That means you can open this particular website in any of the formats, iPad or iPhones. Then we've got the JavaScript libraries of jQuery. So it tells us a lot about the particular modules that we use in our particular website. So let's go a little bit downwards. So we already know it's IPv6 enabled with all of the servers. We've got the copyright here also written. But when we go down, we are able to see the other things also, like ctag.in/star or asterisk, which contains and gives us the information about other website, the other website that have other modules also with the widgets of Tickbox, language, frameworks, along with the payment and all. So it tries to give us whatever it is able to find out, and tries to display this particular information here. But we get, when we go a little bit below, when you scroll down, we are able to get the subdomain information as well. So this is the rtws.ctag.in, and we are able to get the information of JavaScript library and function, JQueplot, Explore Canvas, and the web servers of Tomcat, Coyote, and Apache. So we are able to get the RTWS information also with the HCDC subdomain. So we are also getting the information, each information of subdomains of RTWS, HCDC, eSign, FCAT, ICT-IPR, Bioinfo, Medinfo, FCAT, and our other web servers. So we are able to get all of the information regarding our website along with the subdomain information in this particular detailed technology profile. So it tries to scan each and everything that it is able to find. For the metadata, let me click on it. Metadata, you need to log in. It tells you who is the particular owner of that particular server or the particular where the particular website has been stored. Let's go to relationship profile. For that, we need to just solve the CAPTCHA. So the relationship profile will tell us about the Google Tag Manager, the tag IDs. So this is the ID of Google Tag Manager. This is the GTM one. So it tells us that when it was detected and whichever websites are connected to it. So they have the ctag.org.in, ctag Chennai, ctag Hyderabad, ctag India, and nsmindia.in. It was detected in Jan 2011. Last detected was the updation March 2020. So it tells us some of the information. The next is GTM. It also tells us the same thing about with the Google tag one. Whatever websites are connected with it, amravati.gov.in, appsports.in, cca.gov.in. Let's move to the next. That is the redirect profile. So for the redirect profile is basically it has scanned our ctag.in, and in the website we would have a particular link which is linked to ctaghyderabad.in along with the when it was detected, last detected country. So if you click on the particular link, you will be redirected to see that Hyderabad main domain website. So these are all the information that you will find in builtwith.com. Now.
Yeah. So from built with, I think we were able to identify a few of the information. Now still we have lot to find it out. We have lot many information about a particular target, and that we need to find it out from different sources, so that we should be able to easily gain the access to a particular machine and maintain the access also. So that is what the hacker objective is to do. So we have few more tools to identify the information, to gather the information. Now we have one more tool known as Netcraft. Now this Netcraft is basically a website, even a browser extension, which allows easy lookup of information related to a site which you are accessing on the browser. And it also provides you the protection from various different kind of attacks like phishing attacks, malicious JavaScript attacks, cross-site scripting attacks, and all. So this is basically a tool, or we can say we can add it as a browser extension to our browser, and whatever websites we are opening, corresponding to that website, we can even get the detail about that website through this Netcraft extensions. Now, how to use that, what all features it provides, why we are suggesting to use this particular website as a independent website or a browser extension, because it provides you a detailed site report. So as an end user also it is good, because if you are having any doubt, any confusion whether this particular website is a correct one or it is a phishing website, you can just go to that particular Netcraft and then you can get the details about this particular report. So you can simply click that Netcraft logo. Will be showing you how that Netcraft logo will be there, will be coming to your browser. So you can just click that Netcraft logo and you can get a lot of information about the site which you visit, and based on that you can decide whether you want to share your credentials with this particular website or not. Then we have risk ratings. Now risk ratings is basically the ratings which is being given to this particular site by different users. If anyone has actually rated this particular site as phishing site and all, that also you will be very easily see to that. Netcraft will inform you about the same. It is actually providing the rating between 1 to 10. Then we have conveniently, you can also report the particular website if you suspect this is a phishing or a fraudulent site. By simply clicking on a particular button, you can even report that particular site so that other users may be getting a warning about the same. So this Netcraft is useful for end user also, as well as for the attackers, because this Netcraft is providing a lot of information about a particular website which can be misused by the attackers. What all information that we'll be seeing it. So it protects you against cross-site scripting attacks, your phishing attacks, and even your malicious JavaScript kind of attacks also. So it provides you a warning on those various websites which has these kind of malwares or these kind of viruses chosen into that. Then it will provide you a warning about the same. Now, how to use this Netcraft? Now, if you remember, while we were doing Google Docking, we have identified one vulnerable website. We'll be trying to identify more and more information about this vulnerable website only, and this we have identified using Google Docs. So what we will do, we will open Google and we will type their Netcraft extension. The first link which you are going to get, you just click on that, and then it will ask you to add to Chrome. So this is basically a extension which is coming through Chrome Web Store. So this is actually a reliable one. When you click on add to Chrome and just open your browser, you will be seeing that there is one particular logo of with the N. You will be getting this. Now, whatever website you will open and just click on this N logo, Netcraft logo, you'll be getting a very brief information about this particular website. And here it is, you are also getting a health bar showing the risk rating for this particular website. So it says risk rating is 0. So 0 to 10, 0 is basically a positive one and 10 is going to be the negative one. And it is showing you the country, the site rank, when it has been first seen, host, the URL of the site. If I want to get more information about this particular website, as a hacker or as a penetration tester, I can simply click on this particular link, that is coder.cc. And when I'm going to click on this link, it will give me a detailed report about this particular website and make me reach to its own official website, that is toolbar.netcraft.com. If you don't want to add it as an extension, no issues. You can simply open that particular as a website and then you can provide the URL here and then check it out. Now here it's providing you the background information about that particular target. It will provide you the information related to network, what is the site, domain, IP address. Now this again, there are some information which is actually crucial for attacker to gain access to that machine. So it's providing you the NetBlock owner, name server, reverse DNS and all. Also it is providing you the hosting history. So we just scroll down a little bit, we'll be getting the information about the hosting history, the framework, the technologies which is being used by this particular website and all. So it provides you the information about the network, that is what we have seen. It provides me the information about the hosting history, where we have the NetBlock owner, the IP address, the operating system which is being used, the web server which is being used. And this information is really important for attacker to gain the access. This is some of the information which attacker will take as an entry point, and then it will again use some more sources and some more tools, and then try to even get the information on the versions of these web servers as well. So that if it is getting that versions also, then he can very easily search it in Google that what are the vulnerabilities for this particular version of web server. Then he can get a list of vulnerabilities if it is having, and then with the help of those vulnerabilities, he can very easily exploit that. Even you will also be getting how to exploit the vulnerabilities of web server Apache this version. So you will be getting a lot of information about it also. So these are some of the information which you can get it from Netcraft. So this is basically your information. Then we have Shodan. We'll be seeing the demonstration of this. Let's move to the next tool, or you can say a browser extension as well. So Shodan is again a very famous resource or tool which help us to identify more and more information about a particular target. And this is again one of the favorite of attackers because it provides you a lot of information about a particular target. So you can even cross-check some of the information which you have received it, which you have extracted it from other sources like Built with, Netcraft, and then you compare it with Shodan, and then you check it out that whether the information it is giving you the correct one or not. So that is also one of the reasons why we are using multiple tools for cross-checking, even getting more and more information about it. So one tool will not provide you all information. You have to use multiple tools, and then you have to get a lot of information. That is what the attackers are actually doing it. So here we have Shodan. Shodan is again a search engine which lets the user find specific types of computers like webcams, routers, servers, and also connect it to the internet using a variety of filters. So here, with the help of Shodan, even you can open that particular website as shodan.io. So you can just go to that particular website and can provide any device or any domain name, any term which you want to search it for. You can even search for cameras, you can search for routers, servers, domain names, and lot many other things. So it actually helps you to get lot of information about a particular device, about a particular target which you have mentioned in Shodan, and it also uses variety of filters. So as I told, it is providing you some information which already you have received from Built with and Netcraft, but it has few other information which you have not yet received or not yet extracted, and that is what is your services and ports which are being open for that particular website or that particular target. So this provides you the information about the services and the ports which are open, and it also gives you a very nice idea about the vulnerabilities which are existing in that particular website. So again, it is useful for the developers. So if developers want to test their website, then they can simply use this Shodan and try to identify that what all vulnerabilities Shodan is actually extracting about that target. So as I told this, you can use it as a simple website also, or you can also put it as an extension, browser extension. So again, we are going to take the same website, which was a vulnerable one. So now we are going to scan this particular website and see that what Shodan is telling to us. How to use Shodan, very similar to your Netcraft. Just open Google, type it there, Shodan extension. The first link which you are going to get will be the Shodan extension. When you click on it, it will ask you to add to Chrome. Again, it is a part of Chrome Web Store, so reliable. You click on this add to Chrome, and once you click, you will be getting this Shodan as a browser extension here with this logo. So this is 3 bubbles which you are seeing it here. Now, whatever website you are going to open using that browser, and just click on this particular Shodan logo, you'll be getting a brief introduction, a brief detail, brief information about that particular website. So here it is telling you IP. You can check this IP with what Netcraft has provided us. So you can match it also. The city, country, and basic information about the organization who is hosting it or all. Then it is providing you some information about the ports as well. Here you see there are list of ports which are open and which may be vulnerable and which may provide access to the attacker to get into this particular website and can do whatever changes he wants. So here, if you see 80 is there, that is HTTP 443 HTTPS, then you have FTP and lot many other ports are being mentioned here. Now, if you want a detailed report on that, just click on this view host details. When you are clicking on this, again, it will make you to reach to its own official website, that is shodan.io, as I was telling that. You can directly open this shodan.io also if you don't want to use it as a browser extension. Here you can put that and just click on this search. You'll be getting a lot of information about that particular target. Now here, if you see, here we have the similar information as what we were getting it with Netcraft, and the brief information what we were getting it with Shodan. Then it is giving you the information about the ports which are open, the services which are being running on that particular target. Along with the services also, it is giving you a lot of other information as well. That will be seeing through demonstration how you can just find it out, the information from these various services which is being mentioned here. It is also giving you the web technologies which are being used by this particular websites. Let's see the detailed information. So this is the network information which is being provided by Shodan. These are the web technologies which is being used by this particular website. Then the services which are being running on that particular website, along with certain other information. So it is telling you HTTPD service is basically from Apache, when date is being there, it is actually 200 OK, it is running here. And then it is also giving you few more information about that. We will also be comparing this information which we have received it from Shodan for this particular website to some another website which is a little bit secure. Then a very nice output of this Shodan is to mention or provide you a list of vulnerabilities which are present in that particular website. Now here you see this is CVE number, your common vulnerability exposure. Each and every common vulnerability exposure is being associated with the number. So this is basically number, this is the year when it is being identified, and a brief description about that vulnerability. So you can find it out, a lot of vulnerabilities in this particular website. If you want to know more about this, you can just copy this vulnerability from here. This CV number from here, open Google, paste it there, and then you'll be able to identify a lot of information about this vulnerability. How an attacker can exploit this, that also you'll be getting it, and how to overcome this vulnerability, that also you'll be getting it. So this is, as I told, this is good for developers as well, and also good for the attackers, because it gives you detailed information about that particular target. So now let's see the demonstration of Netcraft and this Shodan. And then we'll be moving further to few more tools which help us to gather the information. Divyansh, could you please share your screen now?
So as ma'am told us about Shodan and Netcraft, let me just go to Netcraft straight and Shodan. So first, we'll just write extension Chrome. So how to download such extensions? So first link that we get from chrome.google.com, we'll just open that link. So Netcraft extension Chrome will write in this particular search engine, and we'll get the Netcraft extension link here. So you have to just click on add to Chrome, and it will be added to you, and you can just see the overview and the reviews that you get. So here it's already written comprehensive site information and protection from phishing and malicious JavaScript when browsing the web. So they have already created that function that will help you to detect such attacks and all, and with the information required for that particular website. So they have already some of the information that you see about the particular website that you see on the online areas. So here we have CDAC. We'll just try to scan our website only. It's like a passive scanning, not the active one, because in the active you might be able to get the information about this type of scans. So they have already some of the information about our websites and all of the website because it's an old organization. Here, what we will do is like we will, after going to this particular website or any of the websites, you can just go to the top right corner of your screen and you will be able to find out the Netcraft extension. So it already tells you that Netcraft extension has access to the site. And when we click on it, we'll get the information of our website along with the report malicious URL. You can also report if you find out some malicious information about it. Here you will find the REST rating that is 0 with the health bar. That means this is not a potential malicious website. It's a very good website. Along with the link of the website, with the site report links, the country of IN, that is India, site ranking, first seen, the host, that is CDAC only. We'll click on site report. And we'll just wait for the particular report that will be shown from the particular website of Netcraft, which is sitereport.netcraft.com/URL equal to the particular URL. It will just open up its database and try to find out the particular website information. Let it load. So it has the information of all the websites that are on, that are not in your private network area, and they are all public information that is available on the internet. So it is able to find out the information of our website cdac.in. So we have got the background information. So first of all, let's tell you that CDAC has a very secured website and all of the secured websites will have less information on it. So we got the background information also not present here because we have not given that and secured it. We have got the date first seen of March 2009. Netcraft REST rating is also not present there. Primary language English. Let's move to the network part. That is the important part. So we have got the site name, the domain name, the network owner, name server, hosting company, domain registry, and hosting country, name server organization, along with the IPv4 address. That is important, along with the virus total link. So the virus total link is basically has been given to us so that we can basically click on it and it will try to scan the particular website for any of the malicious content. If it's already been given to you, that means this particular website has no malicious content and it's a very safe website. Along with the organization, that is CDAC, then the IPv4 autonomous systems code, DNS admin has also been given, along with the IPv6 address, that because we have enabled that. We've got the IPv6 autonomous systems code. So we've got the DNS security that is unknown because we don't want to give that, and the reverse DNS is also unknown. So we get some of the information about this website that tells us that this website is original and authentic. It is not a fake website, so it has got some of the information that we need. But for a hacker, they just need a lot of information from a website. If it's not secured, there might be more information to find out about a particular vulnerable website. So the IP delegation of our website has been given along with the IP and where they have been linked to. IPv6 is also enabled. The hosting history has been provided along with the IP and the OS. That is also the fake info, along with the web server and the last scene. We got the center policy framework, whatever IPs that we have linked to, along with the DMRC and the web trackers, that is off. So as you can see, this particular website was created from 1995 and still now they are basically helping out to fish out all of the fake websites from the internet. So let's move from, because of Netcraft, we are able to find some of the information. So we will also compare it with the Shodan ones. Let's move to our next one, that is Shodan. We'll also write Shodan extension, then Chrome, and press enter. We would be directed to the first link, that is also Chrome Web Store. That will have the particular Shodan extension. So whatever extensions that I'm currently upgrading my Chrome browser with are all from the Chrome Web Store only. So you have to just click on add to Chrome, and the Shodan will automatically be installed and be available on the top right corner of your screen along with Netcraft. So it is also a Shodan plugin, tells you where the website is hosted, who owns the IP, and what other services ports are open. So it is also just like your Netcraft, but will have much more functionality to detect your website's ports which are open, along with the certain information such as the vulnerability and all. So let's click on Shodan. So Shodan also shows us the same information as Netcraft had, with the IP address, host name, country, city, organization, and with the open ports, that is 80 and 443. 80 and 443 has been mentioned. That means these two ports are open in this particular website, but we have only 443 open because of the HTTPS protocol that we have enabled in our website. Let's click on view host details, and we'll just see the information. So CDAC's website is a very secured website, so our information will be of less on these type of websites. So as you can see, CDAC has the general information such as it was given in Netcraft, along with the port open that was not given in Netcraft. So we have got the port open in these type of ports open in our particular website of HTTP and HTTPS protocols. We got the port 80, and we got the server response, or the proxy data, or you should say the HTTP headers which get from the particular response from a particular website. We got some of the information such as your HTTP 1.1302 direct, that means redirect, that is website is available, along with the content type, location, access control, protection header, content type options, and content length. So we have got some information, but if it was not a vulnerable website, we would have got on a little more information from this particular request only. Let's go to 443, similar type of information, not that much, but we got the cookies, session ID, the variable name also with it for the session ID and all. So here you are able to see the web technologies, Bootstrap, jQuery, and Microsoft ASP.NET, which was not available on the Netcraft, but we are able to see it through here. But let me tell you, there are other websites that are also have the vulnerability on their particular website. We can also see that. Let me open one of the website, that is Nestra.in. And if you compare it along with the website of our protected CDAC, you will find many information that they have showcased in their, like, it is still available on their particular website. So they have this IP, hosting, country, and all, organization, along with the port open. So 2 ports are open just like our, but they have multiple ports that are still available on their website. Let's close this particular website and compare these 2 reports. Let this particular report open. So their website, this particular IP is similar to your if we are able to see it through Netcraft, similar. So we have got the general information. Okay, we've got the open ports. There are so many open ports that are available: 21, 22, your FTP, your SSH, HTTP, and then 10 for your, I think, the mail services and all, 443 and all. So we get a lot of ports that are open on this particular website, along with one more thing, like pure FTP is the service name running on this particular port 21, and you get the service name along with the particular functions that are still available on that particular version of this particular software. So site commands can be used by using just the vulnerability of this particular pure FTPD. Let's go downward. You will be able to see OpenSSH, the particular version that they are using. They are using a software known as OpenSSH on port 22 along with the version. So we get the version also. That is also available, so that you can find out the particular vulnerability that exists on this particular version, and it can be detected by the hacker. From the internet, it will try to basically attack on this website. We've got the Apache HTTPD service also, that is also available on this particular website, that is purely been seen by the Shodan. And you can see one more thing, we got the server Apache, we got this Apache application name, and we got new version. Okay, so nothing, but we still got some of the information. Let's go downward. We got the phone 43 is still open. We got the Exim one is also along with the version. So we are getting a lot of responses from this website, and we are able to get a lot of information just by looking at this particular Shodan report. So there are lots of information that you would be able to find. We also find out that they are using MySQL version 5.6.49. So such type of things can be easily found. 3306, that is the default port for MySQL. And then we got the vulnerability section. So no, the device may not be impacted by all of these issues. The vulnerabilities are implied based on the software and the version. So as I told you, the software along with the version, if it's given, the vulnerabilities will be straight away given by the Shodan web application. So they have the CV for 2011, 2010, 2014, 2010, 2017, 2016, 2016, 2011, 2010, and on. So one can just copy this particular vulnerability and open this in a new link, or okay, just copy this vulnerability here and just try to open it in a new link. One might be able to find the particular repository to basically attack such websites. They can go to the common vulnerabilities exposure website, cv.mitre.org, might be able to look at what type of vulnerability exists, and they might get more information about it, and they will try to basically get into that particular website. So all of the information can be found out through your website such as Shodan and Netcraft. But if you see a protected website, it will have less information. But if you see a vulnerable website, you will get a lot of information based on their particular website built. So this is how Shodan and Netcraft works in a particular scenario. This is how you might be able to get information, or hacker might be able to get the information to attack, and basically pen tester will try to save or the guard the particular information that is shown on that particular area and try to like prevent such type of attacks. Now,
yeah. So we all have seen how Netcraft and Shodan works and how it provides us the details about a particular website which we are accessing. And the attackers are also getting similar kind of data for the open ports and all. Even the vulnerabilities which are actually been there, that is also being extracted from this Shodan. Now after this, we have one new tool known as Roptex. Again, we are actually trying to give you a list of tools, and all these are open sources, and you can very easily search it through Google and can use this. So now this is another website and tool known as Roptex. This Roptex is basically used to extract IP numbers, domain names, and multiple information which it is gathering from the public sources. So this is basically a tool which is also being considered as Ocean tool. When I say Ocean tool, that is open source intelligence tool. So it tries to get the information from different public sources, and then it tries to extract it for us. So this is basically extracting the information about IP numbers, domain name, host name, autonomous system, routes, and all. The major aim and the objective of this Roptex is to try to get a lot of information from all the various public sources which it can communicate to, and then simply give us at one particular place. Now, how it works, let's again go to it. So here, this is the link for Roptex. You just open this roptex.com, or you can simply go to Google and type Roptex there. The first link which you are going to get will be the same one. So here, when you click on this Roptex, here you can see a text field which is asking us to provide either the host name, IP number, root, or your AS number. Now, if you are going to provide this and click on go, it will provide you the information about that particular target. It is also giving you a brief introduction about this Roptex. What is Roptex used for? Used for various kinds of research of IP numbers, domain names. What does Roptex do? It provides you multiple, uses various sources to gather public information about what all we have discussed. How to use Roptex? You can even enter an IP address or host name and so on. So we are going to use this Roptex and provide some domain name here, and just click on that go button. When we are clicking it on, it is going to provide us the details in this particular multiple tabs. You can just go through each and every tab and can see what all information it is providing us. Analysis, quick info, reverse, records, a lot many other things it is there. Let's see a few of the information what is being provided by Roptix. So it gives you an analysis part where it says that CDAC.in has 3 name servers, 2 mail servers, and 2 IP numbers. What are the name servers? So it's providing you the list of name servers as well. Mail servers, also it is providing you the IP numbers, it is providing you, and few of the other websites which are very similar to this particular target. So these are some of the sites which are actually being found as a result. So it gives you a brief idea about that particular part as well. And if you click on quick information, you can get a quick information about the target or the domain which you have selected. So this is basically IP number, the name server, and the mail servers which you have seen it, and few other information about this particular target. So that will be better. We'll be seeing the demonstration and see that what all information it is going to provide. So, but before seeing the demonstration, let's also discuss one more tool, which is again help the attacker to find it out, the path, the way that how it is going to enter to that particular target and exploit that. And that is basically the concept of identifying the subdomains of a particular website. So if the attacker is not able to identify any possible vulnerability on a particular website, so that he should enter to it and exploit the system or exploit the target, then he tries to identify the possible subdomains which are associated with the domain, and then tries to identify the details from or out of these subdomains. So what all subdomains are, what all technologies, frameworks being used by that particular subdomain, is there any older version of a particular technology being used by that subdomain? If yes, then they try to identify the subdomain and try to enter from that particular path. So there is findsubdomains.com, one of the website which is basically been designed to find the subdomains that actually belong to a particular organization. And to get that, there is one particular URL or tool, you can say it as spice.com. You can simply open Google and just type it out, spice subdomain. You'll be getting this particular link. Now, when you click on this spice.com subdomain, and here this is the home page of that, you can simply provide the domain which you want to search for, and as soon as you click on the button, you will be getting a lot of subdomains which are actually been associated with this. Sometimes developers create some subdomains for a particular purpose, but maybe later on they intentionally or unintentionally tries to forget to remove that subdomain. So in that case, the attackers are trying to find it out, that kind of subdomains which are being associated with the domain but not being used currently, and might be they are having certain kind of older versions which is being used by that subdomain. So here if we see, we have a lot of subdomains, 50 results is being identified, and even you can click on this, you are also getting the IP of this. Now you can also get more and more information about this particular subdomain in the same manner what we were trying to get the information for a particular domain. So you can just type this npsf.cdac.in and use any of these open sources, and then can get a lot of information about this particular subdomain as well. So this is how this subdomain will provide you a lot of information. So we will be seeing how you can dig into the details of this particular subdomains, how you can able to identify more and more information about these subdomains as a pen tester or as a hacker, and then how they are using these information. So now let's see the demonstration of these two, and then we will be moving forward. So again, I will be request Divyansh to share his screen and show these two tools which we have discussed. One is Roptex, second is subdomain scanner.
So we'll try to find out Roptex first. So Roptex, first link we have to go to it. So we'll write Roptex in the search engine, and the first link that we'll get is welcome to Roptex. We'll click on it. So we will get welcome to Roptex website. Here what we have to do is like write the host name, IP number, route or AS number that is associated to that particular website. So here we will write cdac.in and press enter. So we are getting cdac.in domain here, and all of the information will be present when we will scroll down. So we are getting the analysis part, the quick info, the reverse, records, SEO, search engine optimization, WOT, Alexa, threat miner, shared graph, history, Whois, DNS, BL, and Graphhold. So we will get some of the information of our particular website, such as an analysis part. Let's go there. We've got it has 3 name servers, 2 mail servers, and 2 IP numbers. So for a developer, it's great that he would be able to see such information. For a hacker, it is also great because he might be able to see that they have 3 name servers, 2 mail servers, and 2 IP numbers. That means he might try to look at the both IP as well as the 3 name servers along with the mail servers for any of the information. Easy DNS name server, we have DNS1, DNS2, and DNS3. With .com, .net, and .org. Then the mail servers of mx1.cdac.in with mx4.cdac.in, and the 2 IP numbers of IPv6 and IPv4 that are linked to cdac.in. There are other results also found which are like similar domains linked with CDAC but are like different. They are like similar domains but are not linked with CDAC. .b, .biz, .ca, .com, FR for France, info, it, JP, and link, and LK. So there are also results found that they were able to find it about CDAC. So let's go to quick info. Then the quick info will get the summary of the host name, the fully qualified domain name of cdac.in, the host name, the domain name, the registry of India, TLD is top level domain, that is India, IP numbers, name servers, and mail servers. So same information in the analysis is also being given in a much more representable way in the quick info. Let's go to the records. So records are basically the hierarchical analysis of the entity. We got the IPv6 address along with the route table, the BGP number, meaning the AS number, along with the AS name, and along with the particular description that it's linked to CDAC Pune, location India and all. So you get some of the information from here also, how they are basically linked to each other and what are the IPs and all. So all of the information can be provided in the records part. Let's go to the SEO, the search engine optimization information. We get the rankings of our website, Alexa, Syscombrel, and Majestic. Let's go to WOT, Web of Trust Reputation Score. It takes a lot of time. Let's go a little bit down. Then we might be able to see the Alexa ranking. We don't want that. The threat miner is still not functional. The shared area. So this tells us the forward and request, the forwards and reverse request of the particular DNS that has been set about our website. So you can see the C name along with the PTR, IP number, sharing IP numbers, name server, the IP numbers of the shared numbers, and mail servers. All of the information that are related to the host name along with the IP numbers are showcased in this particular area. So one might be able to see this, a hacker might be able to see this, or a pen tester, so that they try to minimize this type of information. So we get some of the information regarding our website from this shared area. Let's go to graph, history, and Whois. So this still takes a lot of time, but one might be able to see a lot of information when they are fully loaded. We got the DNSBL, stand for DNS block list. So some of the block list has been provided from our website. Then we've got the graph that is old. As you can see, this graph will tell you the hierarchical way how they are all linked to our cdac.in website. So it's a big graph that is still available, or that is available for our website, but it's old. It's already written that it's an old, the static graph over the entity and the related entries and all. So all of the things that you find in the above information area, you might be able to link it all with this. This is also one of the features of Roptex. So they give you a little bit of pen tester type of area where you are able to find such information. Let's move to the next one. That was subdomain scanner, Spice, enter. So this is also like Roptex will show us a lot more information, but the subdomain scanner Spice will try to show us information in a much more representable way. So let me write cdac.in and click on search. So as you see, we were able to find the subdomain through your built with Roptex, I think built with only, and we were able to find the type of third-party modules that they use in this particular in their websites or the subdomain we're using. In this subdomains, we might be able to find out the subdomains area directly along with the domains that are linked to our website. So you are able to see domains that might be linked to our website. There are with the site title and all. Let's see one of them. So this is one is ns1 v6.cdac.in, mx2 cdac.in, iplugin.cdac.in, and chti cdac.in. So some of the information will be provided to us in the subdomains area. You can even use these type of queries that they have. You can filter the particular search that you want from this particular website domain name. Just click on the overview. You might be able to find more information regarding the website, the general info along with the global rank, the status code that sees that our website is still visible and is open. Then you got the overview such as the 33 same domains with different suffixes, 2 domains with same favicon, and 1 domain with same site along with the 2 IPv4 hosts during using domain as PDR, 1 incoming redirects. So we get the DNS record which has 18 records inside of this particular link to our particular domain, which has the type A link to our website, the main website, the 196.113.45. Then the mail server, then the name server. So all of the information regarding our website are easily available along with the DNS record in this particular subdomain scanner. So we have got the security score of 100. That means our website is the secure one, along with the technologies that we have got like Microsoft ASP.NET, Bootstrap, IIS, and jQuery, along with the crawl results, 9 HTTP headers, 5 meta tags, and all. So we are able to see much more information, or even the hacker, if he might be able to see this, he might be able to get the IP address, and if he's not able to crawl in one of the websites or one of the main links or one IP, he might be able to try to find out the vulnerabilities in other IP addresses and will try to get in the inside of that particular website. So hackers or any pen testers would hackers might try to find some other backdoors to get inside with some vulnerabilities by using the subdomain scanners. Pen tester might be able to save that particular area where the particular hacker might go in. So he might be able to search such areas and will try to detect such areas and will try to prevent such vulnerability to happen. So there are a lot of information that you are able to find through this particular subdomain scanner. You just need to look at the reports that they have created along with the technology, subdomains, email addresses, and etc. along with the crawl results. So you might be able to find much more information. Let's go to email addresses. So here are the email addresses that are still present on our particular website. You can basically start your trial to see more. So they have given you all of the information. We just let us go to the DNS record also. They have linked all of the records. They are able to find the 18 records. So we might be able to find all the IPs that are linked to our main website. So this is how particular subdomain scanner would work to basically help the particular hacker to find a vulnerable link or a particular pen tester to basically detect and prevent such attacks. Ma'am.
Yeah. So we have seen this Roptex and subdomain scanner also. That is also giving you some additional information, what we were not able to extract it from the previous tools. So each and every tool, whatever we are demonstrating here, is actually helping you to get more and more information about the target, and that is what is information gathering techniques. So the most of the time which the attacker is actually taking in this particular phase only, because once we are able to get all these information, now it's very easy to use that automated tool and try to gain the access to that particular system. Now we have two more things to discuss it with you, if the time allows us to do that. Now we have the other one, maybe you have heard about it, is known as Wayback Machine. Now, what is this Wayback Machine? This is basically a service which is being provided to the people to visit archived versions of the websites. So as it is written here, the Wayback Machine is a digital archive of www founded by the Internet Archive, which is a non-profit organization. So here, with the help of this Wayback Machine, we are actually able to capture the text links onto the calendar. Maybe we can also identify that what all screenshots have been saved for a particular website on a particular calendar date. So with this, again, the attacker will get a lot of information that how frequently this website has actually been changing, what all changes they have made it in their website, what all technologies now they are working into. So a lot of information you can get it from this Wayback Machine while only seeing the captures, while only seeing the screenshots of the website. Now here I would like to mention one more thing, that if anyone finds out that whether it is able to archive the email or it is able to archive the personal pages and all, then that answer is no. It will only be able to archive the public pages which are being provided the access to the general public. Now for that, you can just go to this link, https://archive.org.web. Now when you are going to go to this, you will be asked for a target website to be selected. You can provide that, and then maybe you can select the year from the calendar, that for which year you want the details of this particular website to gather or to extract. So this is your Wayback Machine. Here it is asking you to provide the domain name or the URL of that particular website which you want to browse. So just you pass it on here, any of the target, and just click on browse history, and it will provide you a sort of calendar kind of page. Now here you can see we are getting a calendar with some green colored marked dates. Now when we are hovering a mouse pointer here on this particular green colored, you will be getting a few details about it, which talks about the snapshots. Now on this particular date, for this particular website, 2 snapshots have been taken. If you can, these are nothing but the links. You can click on this and you'll be getting the snapshot which was being taken on that particular date. So this helped the attacker to get the information about a particular website, how it looks like and all. And you can see it here, it was being created in 2005. So you are getting this graph as well, showing you that how much changes has been done in this particular year in that particular website. So you can just have an option of comparing the changes as well. So the comparison is also being there. See here, changes is basically a tool you can use to identify and display the changes. So what all changes has been done, that can also be very easily identified from this Wayback Machine. So this is one part, and this is another part. This was basically the older version of that particular website. This is the newer version of the website where there are certain changes is being done. So that also you can very easily identify from this Wayback Machine. So how it will help you out, what all information it is giving you, that we'll be seeing the demonstration of that. After this, I also want to discuss one thing, one particular tool which is again being said as an ancient tool known as Spiderfoot HX. Now this is one of the tool which provides you a lot of information by collecting it from, again, multiple public sources. That's why I said it is an OSINT tool, open source intelligence tool. It gives you the information about IP address, domain name, email addresses, usernames, and lot many other things. So this Spiderfoot-HX is again can be accessed by finding it out through Google. And here you have to register it with your email. And then with a particular email, you will only be getting the chance to identify the information about only 3 targets. So if you want to have more targets information together, you have to register with another email ID to this particular tool. Now how it works, now see here, this is Spiderfoot-HX. If you can just type it in Google, Spiderfoot-HX, you will be getting the first link. This is spiderfoot.net. This is the home page. You can see it is actually telling you that this is a reconnaissance tool and investigation tool, and here it will ask you to register for this particular in this particular tool by providing your email ID here. So generally, when these kind of tools are asking us to provide our email IDs, we're not providing our personal and official email IDs. Otherwise, our emails are going to fill up with a lot of scam mails. So for this, spam mails. So for this, what we are doing, we are actually identifying one temporary mail, and then we may also provide that temporary mail here. So how to identify temporary mail? Very easily, I think most of you might be aware of it. Simply go to Google and type temp mail. You'll be getting a lot of temporary mail generation links. Any of the temporary mail generation link you can open, and you'll be getting one temporary mail. That will be the mail which will work as you are working with your existing emails. It will have your inbox and all the emails can come to that, and you can view that particular email as well. So for this, you are going to register with one of the temporary email. So Spiderfoot, what it does, it sends you one link in this particular email for changing or updating the password, so that you can get access to this Spiderfoot. So that will be showing you how this process is being done. Once we are going to change the password and all, then it provides us with this particular page where it will ask me to create a new scan. We click on that. It will be asking me about a particular name to be provided to this scan, the domain which we want to scan it, and then we click on run scan now. When we are clicking on this run scan now, it takes time to scan this particular domain and gives us a lot of information about that particular domain. And that is what attackers are also using this to gather more and more information about it. So still it is running. You can see this screenshot is of running. It is showing you that total data elements, these main number of elements has been checked till now, out of which these are the unique data elements, these are the errors. And when it actually gets aborted, see these main number of information you are getting it about a particular domain. Now total data elements, this much has been checked, unique data element, this, errors are this, and what are the correlations about the details, that is also been specified here. Has been aborted, otherwise if it would have run completely, it would have provided us a lot more information about it. As I told, this actually takes time to scan each and every information from each and every link, and then it tries to provide you a lot of information. Now if I want to see what all information it has extracted, then you can just go to this particular tab, that is browse by. Just click on this. This is a drop down menu. Just click on this. The first option you'll be getting is browse by data. So browse by data will be the first link which you'll be getting. Just click on that, and based on the data type, what all it has extracted from that domain, it will provide you the list of all these various data. Now it will tell you just opposite to that data type, that what all vulnerable entities it was able to identify related to this data type. So that it will mark with red. Now it's a long list. So what we have to do, we have to just we want that all those vulnerable entities should come on the top. So what we have to do, we have to mark this list, or we have to view this list in the descending order. For making it in descending order, you just double click on this risky part. Once you double click on this, you'll be getting all those various red marks, all those vulnerabilities on the top. Now you can click on these vulnerabilities and then see what all information it is providing. And believe me, lot of information attackers are actually getting it from this particular spider foot as well. So this is a very nice tool for attackers for getting the information, and then exploiting it can be done very easily once they are able to get the information. So we'll be showing you the demonstration of the previous one, and if possible we can show you the demonstration of this, or we can show you the report which already we have created for some of the training. So because it takes time, so we can show you a little bit process how we can do it, and then we can discuss the report as well, what we are getting it out of this spider foot. Other than that, I would also like to share one of the link here, which is basically a list of Ocean tools. That is oceanframework.com. Just open this oceanframework.com. I will be asking Divyansh to show this particular link to you as well. There you will be getting a lot of Ocean tools available for multiple purposes. So if you're interested in getting more and more information about it, you can just click to any of these tools which are mentioned in this Ocean framework. Try to go through at least one tool in a day or two, and then try to use that tool to gather information about a particular target. So with this, I will be switching over to, stop sharing my screen and asking Divyansh to fastly demonstrate what we have discussed, and then we'll be moving towards the question answer session. So Divyansh, could you share your screen? Yeah.
So let me open the Wayback Machine. So you can write Wayback Machine on the Google search engine. The first link of archive.org will be the Wayback Machine's main link. So in this particular Wayback Machine, you can basically find the particular website that was created long ago. That means you can see when the website was first created and how it is looking in the particular year right now. So for that, you need to just write the domain name. So you know that CDAC's main website was first seen in NetGraph, also it's written 2005. So when you will click on the 2005 year and then go to the particular date when this particular website was first created, you might be able to see the website's snapshot. So let me open one of the snapshots of August, so that we are able to find how this website looked during March. So this is how CDAC's website looked when it was first, like in the month of August in 2005. So this is how CDAC's website looked when it was first in the particular stages in August. And we are able to see this website through here. So let me also open the website of 2020 so that we will get more idea about it. Let me open both of them. So in Wayback Machine, they are basically have created the particular storage type of thing that where you will be able to find out websites when it was first being presented online, and till now how the websites have progressed. So Wayback Machine is basically a particular platform where they basically save these particular websites using a hash protocol, and all of the websites are encrypted. So that means these websites information will not be duplicated, but all of the information regarding when the website was created, when it was first published, till when it is, how it is looking right now in 2020 will be present in this website. So you are able to see the 2020 version of our website. and you are able to see the 2005 version of our website. So I think you can see how it looked like when it was started and how it ended like this. So it has been a very great development in our website if you are able to see through it. But how this particular Wayback Machine could be used by a hacker or any of the pen testers, basically they will try to search how this website have been performed, whatever they will try to search between the two websites templates and all. They will try to find out what type of things they have changed and what type of features they still exist in the future one, even if they have hidden it or like they're in the background of it. So they will try to just search it, and if they find out that they might be able to get the information through these two a new and old website, and they might be able to like get inside this particular website. So this can be used in that way also. And Wayback Machine has like millions of websites stored inside of it area where you would be able to get the information of that particular website that you want to search, along with how they have progressed through the years. So they might be having a vulnerability that might not be available on the future ones, but in the previous versions they might be having that vulnerability, and you might be able to see it through Wayback Machine. So they are basically the one of the best archives where you would be able to find out all of the information regarding your website when it was first created till how it is still now in the present era. So let's move to Spiderfoot. So let me just open Spiderfoot HX website. So Spiderfoot HX is one of the OSINT scanners that are available on the internet. And to access that, you need to have a temp mail or a temporary email ID so that you can basically create your own profile on this particular website. They have a feature of the OSINT scanning. That means they will actively scan the particular domain's information on the whole internet, and they will try to find out all of the information like a spidering effect about your particular domain. For that, you need to create a profile, and for that you need to enter your email address and wait for the particular email to arrive at your fake email ID. So it takes a lot of time as shown in the PPT. So you will receive a particular email and you are able to see the image of that particular dashboard that you get when you try to start scanning in this particular through this particular website. So let this particular mail arrive. So it takes a lot of time for this particular registration. You will get a mail on your temporary email ID, and then after that you need to register to this particular profile and basically give them a new password. After that you will be given a particular dashboard where you can basically start your scanning. For any of the free IDs, you might be able to get 3 scan for 1 ID. So these scans can be of anything. You can basically scan your own email ID, your own number, the IP addresses, even your domain name. So if you write the domain, you might be able to get a lot of information regarding your domain. Whatever is available on the internet, the OSINT scanner, the open source intelligence scanner, will scan and try to give you in a very much formatted data of that particular website. Like this, as you can see on the left side, on the right side of your screen, the Fredo botnet analysis has been done, and a lot of information regarding that data elements along with the unique data elements, unique and versus non-unique, and all of the information regarding will be displayed on this particular dashboard. So we have gotten the account password reset link. Let me click on that particular email. We'll get the particular email here. So let me just copy this particular whole URL, and we'll open this in a new link. We'll enter a new password, submit it, and we might be able to enter this particular dashboard. Right now, when we will enter such dashboards, our main thing is like, okay, so I think we already did a scan on this particular temporary ID. So we have gotten that one feature. Okay, so this was a previous scan done, I think on first, maybe, I don't know. So when you click on scan area, what you have to do is like when this is a new dashboard, you will get a new scan button here on the right side of your screen, where you can basically name the target. So I already named the target. I will write test1. This is the name of the target. I'm just writing my own random name. The scan target can be written here. You can write you can write here domain name cdac.in along with the test one. Where I have written the domain name is because this is the area where you will write the domain name, and this is a name that you can give to your particular scan. You just have to write the domain name here, or you can write even the number, email ID, and etc. by using a semicolon if you want to separate those particular searches. We have written the name of the scan along with the name of the particular domain. We'll click on run scan. Now it will automatically try to scan and will give the report when the particular scan has been completed. So we have already scanned our particular cdac.in website, I think. So what we'll do is like click on test. It's already been scanned. That's why, because it's a limited type of scanning, and due to the time restrictions, you will get a limited type of only. So they have already scanned this particular website or this particular ID, I think email we have used. We'll click on browse by, click on data type, and we'll click on risky. So as you can see, the risky factors will tell you what type of data that is harmful to your website and linked to your website. You can click one of the data and you would be able to find what type of data they have, what type of risky factor they think could be leading to your website. So we have email addresses, we have similar domains. So such type of data could be find out through the spidering of OSINT or the Spiderfoot HX. So we have got the similar domains. So similar domains is also one of the risky factors, as because someone can buy such domains. They're basically easily purchasable if you go to their domain, and someone can use their particular domain in their particular phishing attacks. So this is also one of the risky factors. Similar domain is also one of the risky factors that can link to our particular website, and such information can be find out through our particular Spiderfoot OSINT scanner. So this is just like you can just click here and do the normal scan. You might be able to get it, as because this is a passive scan. Many of the information shown here would be all gathered from a particular internet, and you might be able to see all of the information gathered at one point.
Yeah, Divyansh, I think that's fine. So now everyone is able to know how Spiderfoot works. They can try it out on their own and can find it out the information about the same. So this is what was information gathering actually. Techniques, there are a lot of tools, lot of techniques which are actually being used for gathering the information about the target. It's again impossible to demonstrate each and every one, but we have picked up few so that you should be able to get an idea how the attackers and penetration testers are actually using these open source tools and all to gather the information so that the target can be exploited easily. So with this, I thank you all, and I'm open for the questions. If there is any question, please let me know so that we can answer it, and then we will be breaking for the lunch. If any other query you have related to web application security, related to network security, you can just mail it to us. It's my mail ID is nehakapoor@cdac.in. You can just mail it and we will try to answer to your queries. Any other question, if anyone has, they can ask. Else we can break the session for lunch. Now there's one question which I'm getting is how to secure the open ports. So ports, if it's open, then maybe you can go for, firewall and all, and can set those various ports to close. As if you are using Windows, then you can just go to Windows Defender firewall, and then you can set up the go to the advanced settings. Each and every firewall will have your advanced settings link. You can go to that, and then there are certain I don't remember the term. There are certain, I think, rules are there, inbound rules. Yeah, so there are certain inbound rules which is being displayed. You can just click on that inbound rules link, and then from there you can set multiple rules. Now in that rules you can set what all ports has to be shown, what all ports has to be closed. So with that, there will be an option which you can just, there will be a radio button against, I think, all the ports. You can just click on that radio button and you can mention the rules for that. So this way you can simply close the ports which are actually being open.